Welcome back, podcast community. My name is Cam King. This is Three Questions Podcast. It is great to have you back. I have been super busy the past couple weeks, just taking care of work stuff, having really long days, and I have not been able to schedule out some of the content that I've been meaning to get out. And I do have a full hopper of questions that I do want to answer, especially for my clients. And I haven't had time to get guests on, so that is on me. I promise to be better here as we move forward. And that's enough of that. As you know, Three Questions Podcast is a really short, small hitting podcast where me or a guest will answer three questions that have been submitted or previously discussed. Oftentimes, these come from my own research or my own life experience. And I will give you the best of my unbiased ability to answer these in a productive way and useful way for you to sort of go about your day and get a little bit of knowledge in usually less than 20 minutes. So without further ado, I'll hop into the first questions. Every question I give myself 5 minutes or a guest to answer and to explain, and I try to keep it as clear and concise as that. If you want to submit questions, you can always shoot a DM to me on any of the channels that you found, or you can email threequestionspodcast@gmail.com and I'll put these in the hopper for you. All right, let's hop into it. Question number one. I'm going to set my watch here so that I can stay on this. And question number one is, do you recommend using supplements? Short answer, yes, I recommend using supplements, but I want people to understand and realize one thing, that supplements will not supplement a shitty lifestyle or shitty lifestyle habits. And I see this with a lot of my friends who try to use anything from testosterone to any other kind of injection or vitamin D or whatever it else, or ashwagandha for stress. People will try to supplement with things in order to not have to take care of that part of your life. And I think that that is inherently wrong. So if you feel like you are doing everything you can, if you think your diet is completely locked in and you're not eating sugar and you're not drinking alcohol and you still have yet to make gains, or you want to make more gains, and you're sleeping well and your life isn't that full of stress and you're not drinking enough water, then I think it's okay to use supplements to sort of get you the 10 to 20% extra that they may get you. But I don't think that if you're not sleeping and not working out and having a shitty diet, that you should, be on things such as testosterone or taking creatine, right? You really need to use supplements after you have done the absolute most you can to raise the bar for that thing. Now, if we're just talking about vitamins, that's a totally different story. I do think that everyone should supplement with vitamins, and there is something called a genetic methylation test. And methylation is essentially how your cells process or analyzing the efficiency of how your cells kind of live and exist. And I would say that that methylation test, which is about $600, is really useful for anyone who is trying to figure out what their body does well and does not do well. And that test essentially looks at different genetic markers to help you identify if you lack vitamin C or if you need more vitamin D in your diet or vitamin K or E, all these different things. And that genetic methylation test is something I would advise to anybody who is, typically spends more than a couple $100 on vitamins or supplements a month. Dr. Gary Brecka is the one that turned me on to that. And I think that that will help identify what it is that you need to supplement with and what it is that you need to kind of shore up in your life. If you can solve things through diet or exercise, I highly recommend that those are always the first two things that you should try and adapt, as well as sleep. Right now, I'm not sleeping that well, but last night I got a great night of sleep and I feel like a brand new person. I can't believe how well I feel today. So, sleep, diet, exercise, sunlight, especially, will solve a lot of these ailments. And again, you cannot supplement your way out of shitty lifestyle habits. Please understand that. Okay. That's really all I have for that first question, right? Is, do I recommend using supplements? Absolutely. Okay. But you need to make sure that you're doing the right things ahead of time before that. Question number two, what is my favorite supplement? So I've told this story before, maybe not on the podcast, but a number of years ago, I was having a really tough time. I was experiencing a lot of bloating, bags under my eyes, severe headaches, skin itchiness, sleeping poorly, diarrhea, vomiting all the time. And this was going on for about probably solid 5 or 6 years. And I knew my mother had celiac disease, which is a terrible affliction, but I was like, there's no way I have it. And my girlfriend at the time, I remember her saying, "Oh, you're just aging, you're just getting older. This is just what, growing up feels like, or going out, you just can't handle things the way you used to." And I was like, "No, there's something more wrong, right?" I had a very short temper. I was kind of just not the ideal version of myself looking back. And I ended up getting a celiac disease test, and what they measure for is these antibodies called anti-glutaminase antibodies. And the typical person has under 20 in their system, under 20 ppm. I had 298, which is almost about 15 times the regular amount. And the doctor looked at me and goes, "Hey, does celiac disease run in your family?" And I said, "Yes, my mother has it." And he goes, "You need to go on a gluten-free diet right now." So that day, I think it was 26 or 27, I went fully gluten-free. And within 3 to 6 months, I was completely healed. I felt like a brand new person. The bags under my eyes went away. My skin cleared up. My hair was less wiry. I felt more focused. I had more energy. My bloating was down. My muscle mass increased. I was getting less sick. And I just couldn't believe how good I felt. And in short, the reason why celiac disease is a terrible affliction, it's not just a fad diet. It's all about this thing called the gluten protein. And your body actually does need the gluten protein, but some people have an inability to process that protein, and it causes it to essentially go down to your gut microbiome, which is super healthy for you. That's where serotonin is first produced. That's where a lot of the synapses in your brain are first produced. So if you have a healthy gut biome, meaning that you're eating a healthy diet, meaning that there's the right kind of bacteria in your stomach to process things, and you're not trashing it full of sugar and other bullshit, which feeds all the bad bacteria, then your body is essentially happier. It's able to produce more happiness, and it's able to produce higher quality synapses, which makes you smarter. And when stuff goes in your stomach that is bad, right, like alcohol will wash out, and because it's an acidic compound, it will wash out all of the good flora and completely erase your gut microbiome. So people that ingest alcohol too much or just have a shitty diet where their gut microbiome can't process food properly, your synapses in your brain literally decrease, making you dumber. And then you're also able to produce less serotonin, less high quality serotonin, which can affect your happiness levels. So ipso facto, if you have a happy gut microbiome, the rest of your life is literally happier and better and smarter. So food is super important here. But with celiac disease, when you process the gluten protein, your stomach can't process it, and it sees the gluten protein as a toxin. And so what happens here is your stomach opens up and it starts leaking out all of the acidic and all of the microbiome and all of the good things into different parts of your body. So now your white blood cells are freaking out and everything is freaking out, and your temperature goes up because it's trying to kill all of these things. It goes, "Hey, there's a virus here. There's something really wrong here." And this process is called leaky gut syndrome. And if you think about a city overflowing its sewers into the streets, that's the equivalent of what this is. It's all the fire alarms going off and this leaky gut syndrome causing a whole host of problems. Long story short, celiac disease, although it's a terrible affliction, really reduces the amount of vitamin D in your body, which can cause your skin to look bad, which can cause lack of bone growth, lack of muscle growth. It can, start things like osteoporosis or start the cancer process in your body. And if this happens or goes too long unchecked, it can really, really change things. So my favorite supplement, and I started supplementing with this after I found out I had celiac disease, was vitamin D. And I started taking almost 10 to 20,000 IU per day. And I have still done this for years. And I've noticed that my energy levels have been through the roof. Now, there have been times for months or maybe weeks where I haven't taken vitamin D. And for me, consistently, vitamin D not only helps with serotonin process and bone growth and just feeling happier and better and having more energy, but this is the number one thing I think everybody should be on a daily basis. I'm from New England, so obviously not seeing the sun. We all think we get enough vitamin D from the sun. I guarantee you we don't. And that's why vitamin D is consistently my favorite supplement and something that I will take for the rest of my life. Okay. That's all I have for question number two. That's my 5 minutes. I'm going to cut myself off there. But question number three is, what are some things everyone should supplement with? I just went over vitamin D, and I guarantee that if you take vitamin D straight for a month, you can take 10 to 20,000 IU. You will feel much better. You'll feel your energy increase. You'll feel yourself get happier, and things will generally improve in your life. Now, what I'll say is additional supplements I think everybody should take is magnesium, is also zinc, and I think that everyone should be on turmeric. Okay. And I'll explain why. So, magnesium is important because typically we got this from our diet, our natural diet. When food dies or in plants or in animals that we would catch, there's plenty of magnesium. You get magnesium from meat primarily, but you can also get it from a number of different plants. But what magnesium does, magnesium is exchanged in every single cellular reaction that you have, right? All of these muscle contractions that you do every time you talk, every time you use a different part of your body, magnesium is being exchanged through these things called action potentials, which is how your body communicates through electrical signals from your brain. There's afferent and efferent electrical signals, one's up, one's down. But these electrical signals go through and it tells certain parts of your body at 380,000 miles an hour to exchange different amounts of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Magnesium is primarily released in all of your muscle contractions. So when you think about your muscles kind of open up and sort of come back together. Magnesium is constantly being exchanged there. And not only is it exchanged, but it's lost. It's kind of like fuel. And when fuel is burned, right, that fuel cannot be recovered. It's really only a one-way process. So your body's constantly burning different amounts of magnesium. And so we're kind of always operating at a loss or a deficiency because people aren't eating as much meat as they used to back in the day. We used to get magnesium kind of from dirt. And it used to be in animals a lot more prevalently, but now that we farm raise animals, there's a natural loss of magnesium within all of these things. So even if you are a meat eater, even if you feel like you're eating steak all the time, I guarantee that the amount of muscle contractions that you're having on a daily basis, you're not getting enough magnesium. So I highly, highly recommend that everyone take a magnesium supplement at all ages for the rest of their life. You can look into this yourself. I guarantee that it's a thing. But I also really think that people should be supplementing with zinc. And zinc plays a critical role in your immune defenses. So not only is zinc really good for your brain, obviously you don't want to be ingesting too many minerals or metals, I'll say, because some zinc can be, can have higher metal concentration in this. You really need to look into where these ingredients are sourced from. But zinc plays such a vital role in your immune defense. And I think that when you can have that, you will stay healthier for longer. I think you're going to have more energy. And when your immune system isn't always being taxed by things like stress or disease or cold or whatever, and it's generally in its tip-top fighting shape, the quality of your life improves. I don't care who you are, but if you have a good immune system, you generally have a higher quality of life. And I think that zinc plays a very critical role in that. It's kind of like a fuel or some kind of armor for your immune system. I don't know the exact physiology of it, but I do know that it greatly, greatly has improved my life and it improves my immune system. I tend not to get sick. I don't get the sniffles. I can't remember the last time I was actually sick, like actually felt like nauseous and stuff like that. But zinc, I feel like really holds me down, and I can tell when I'm on it and when I'm not because I do get a little stuffy. What was the last thing that I said there? Oh, vitamin D. Oh, turmeric. Excuse me. Turmeric is a compound that can be really obtained from anywhere. I haven't taken a bad version of turmeric, but turmeric, it looks like a orange powder and it is fantastic because what it does is it reduces inflammation. And if you didn't know that the root cause of all disease is inflammation. And so when you eat things like cottonseed oils, which can just be, things like vegetable oil or a high sugar diet, or you consume a lot of alcohol, or even if you work out a ton and you're putting a bunch of stress on your body gets inflamed in ways that it sort of gets injured. So for me, I work out a lot. My job is also pretty stressful right now. I got a bunch of different side projects. And when I don't have time to stretch, or maybe I'm not eating healthy, or maybe I'm not sleeping enough, right? Sleeping will reduce inflammation. Cold water therapy will reduce inflammation. But if I'm going to supplement with something because I also want to reduce inflammation and my risk of long-term disease, I think turmeric is the way to go. Again, something I would really look into, but it's different for everybody. So look into those three or four supplements. Hopefully I said something and you learned something from this that can really benefit you going forward. Happy to talk about different protein powder or injectable substances, things like BPC 157, Clomid, HCG. We can talk about testosterone in a future one. But I really think that these things will not supplement or change your shitty lifestyle if you are living one. If you're living as much of a healthy lifestyle as possible as you are and you want to get that 10 to 20% improvement, I think these are a great intro way for anyone to begin. And again, Three Questions Podcast. I really thank you guys for listening. I'd love to have more people on as a guest, so feel free to reach out to me. It's not that I know everything. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of sense about what it is that I know and what it is that I think and believe. And if that changes your life for the better, that's awesome, right? I put very little quality into editing these. It's not super highly it's not really highly edited, just me kind of raffling stuff off at my desk, mostly for my clients that I know are listeners. And hopefully you guys are getting something out of this too. So really appreciate you guys for listening. Find us online at threequestionspodcast.com. It might be at underscore threequestionspodcast.com. But go and book some sessions on my site, ckcollective.co. I do one-on-one coaching for personal business and professional type things. If you're looking to build a better business, get into a better mindset, we can talk all about that. You can tell I'm a little tired. It's been a long day, but I'll see you guys in the next one, and really appreciate you guys for listening and watching.